We had a few people who are a couple of people that indicated they weren't going to be able to make it. Our plan is to record all the classes, provided we have enough space to do that. So the plan this week is for today, we're going to just have a little bit of an introduction to the course. And then tomorrow and Thursday, we will do a little bit more technical introduction. We'll start actually working on some pieces like what a DAW is, and we'll start talking about some of the elements of sound, music, podcasting, things like that. And then hopefully Thursday, we can actually get some hands-on lab time. So hopefully you guys have had a little bit of time to think about maybe a little further about some of your interests, some elements of this course that you'd really like to explore, and really a way to articulate some of those things in finer detail. I think we can talk about, oh, I want to learn how to produce music, or I want to learn how to make beats, or I want to learn how to, write and produce a podcast. Those are all things that we can definitely do, but we want to narrow down our scope a little bit into what about those areas of interest do we want to really focus on. So if it's music, it's what genre of music, what experience level do you bring to the table? You might have no experience playing music at all. One thing that's really cool about digital music in particular is the ability to have virtual instruments and the tools to be able to run those. And we either have that stuff already, or we're in the process of getting more. So I'm looking into, for example, getting an analog drum machine, which is basically just a handheld drum sample machine that you could really use just that to make fully produced beats, if that was something that you're interested in. Or if it's podcasting, what type of podcasting are you into? And John's bringing a huge amount of experience with recording, with music, with composition, studio time. He's really a gold mine of information. So I hope everybody's excited. I hope we can really get off to a strong start. I know there will be times when you have to miss. If you are going to miss, just let us know right away. And we will do our very best to get the information to you that you've missed during the class, or provide a link as soon as possible. Probably I'll be posting the link in the group chat like I did this morning, and on the page. That's probably the primary way we will relay information to you guys, so that we're all on the same page. And don't hesitate to reach out to myself or John with any questions you have, any interests. If you're like, hey, I want to know about this, and it's not something we've brought up or talked about, we're really open to everything here. So some people are really stronger than others in certain areas. So someone might be really, really accomplished musically, for example, and they record, and then you have someone who is very good at editing or sound mixing, and they can take that recording into a studio and they can make it sound 20 times better than it originally sounded. And then you have someone who's really good at distribution and publishing, and they can take that piece and they can put it on platforms all over the place so that everybody gets to hear it. So part of what we'll probably do in this course is have some collaboration between different people in the class. So if you have similar areas of interest, it's always good to try to pair up with people as well. And we'll do our best to group you, if we ever do partnered projects or group projects, group you with people that have similar interests in the areas of exploring in audio recording that you do. A couple of pieces. So, welcome to the course. We're, like I keep mentioning, we're trying to make it relevant to the people in this course. There's going to be some general content that we will work through that should be relevant to everybody, but then we want to focus on specific aspects that you're interested in. In order to do that, John and I need to get a real snapshot of where you guys are coming from, what your interests are, what your experience levels are. First piece is to just check in the box whether you're primarily planning to work in person or at home. You can just fill it like check mark or shade it in. Doesn't mean if you put in person, you can't work from home in a day or two or whatever, but it gives us a sense that there are some people who are very clearly working just from home. For those who are Zooming in right now, I will drop this document into the group chat as soon as I'm done talking here. I'm going to let everyone kind of move off on their own and work on things on their own. And as soon as I'm done this, I will drop that into the group chat and you'll be able to open it up and work through it. So if you are participating remotely, so for those who are planning only to work from home, we kind of want to know what technology you have available to you, and as specific as possible as you can be, the better. So, you could say I have a laptop, but that doesn't really help necessarily, because we need to know what type of laptop. Is it a PC? Is it a Mac? If it's a Mac, do you have a reasonable size memory so that you could be recording things? Programs like GarageBand and Ableton and these DAW programs can take quite a bit of processing power from a computer. So if you have a really old laptop, it might be a little tricky. This will just allow us to be able to cater assignments to you, but also maybe potentially, if possible, get technology into your hands that will help you work from home. So just whatever you have, and include smartphones, right? Like if you have an iPhone, you have GarageBand on your iPhone. It's a different version, but it's still, there are people who have recorded entire albums on an iPhone. So it's very possible. Moving into page 2, this is where we're really looking at your particular personal interests. So we want you to rank your top 5 genres of music. So, genres are things like rock, hip hop, classical, metal, country. You can get into subgenres if you want. There are people who are like, they like metal, but then there's like hardcore, there's death metal, there's grindcore, there's, new metal. There's all these different subgenres of these things. Feel free to go as deep down as you want to go, and feel free to rank 10 if you want. Get creative with it. The more, the better, really, to be honest with you. If you don't have 5 really favorite genres, you can even use the 5 that I've given you, but just try to put them in order. Put some thought into what are the areas of rock that you really enjoy. If it's rock, right? Is it classic rock? Is it modern rock? Try to be as specific as possible. Moving to part B, we want you to list your top 10 musical artists. These aren't ranked, but just give us a list of 10 bands, musicians, artists, songwriters that you enjoy. John and I will be doing this as well, and we'll probably be creating some type of repository of this information. It won't be tied to individuals, so feel free to, this is anonymous, but we will make like a playlist of all these things for people and then share it out via Spotify or Apple Music. Just in terms of listening to music, how do you guys primarily consume music? Is it streaming, I'm assuming, is what most of you are doing? Yeah. And I know there's usually a divide between Apple and Spotify. People who have iPhones tend to focus on Spotify or Apple, sorry, but yeah, we can kind of have some crossover there. Okay, for part C, this is where it might get a little tricky for some. Podcasts are really popular. Not everyone listens to podcasts, I get that. But if you do, we want you to rank your top 5 genres of podcast. So that can be like crime podcasts, music podcasts, comedy podcasts, sports, entertainment, video games, whatever. I mean, there are podcasts for everything. And again, go into subgenres if you want, right? It's okay if you don't have 5, just rank as many as you can. If you don't, this is really important. If you don't listen to podcasts, you've never touched one, you have no idea what they are. What genres would you be interested in listening to? If we think about a podcast as, essentially an audio show, right? There's no visual to it, but it's only talking. So there's a very specific medium. But if you don't listen to podcasts, what would you be interested? What are some areas you'd be interested in exploring? Because I can almost guarantee you there is a podcast for that area. Perfect. Spotify and Apple. Perfect. Okay. The last part for this is list your top 10 favorite podcasts. They don't have to be ranked. Just, again, gives us an idea of where you're at. What I'm talking about is the name of your podcast. So if it's like Kind of Funny in Review or 32 Thoughts or Criminal or I don't know what you guys like, that's kind of what we're doing here. If you've never listened to a podcast in your life, or you really don't listen to them at all, go on your Apple Music or your Spotify, or go on someone else's and check out some podcasts. Go spend a little bit of time when you get to this section just exploring them. Ask your classmates, like, what do you listen to? Make a list of people that you know start making a running list of podcasts to explore, and then write down in this space a few that sound interesting. If you don't have 10 there, that's fine. I've just given you space for 10. Okay. Last but not least, and this is where it's very open-ended here, so don't stress out about it. I'm going to get you to do a little bit of writing and storytelling here. So in the first session, we touched a little bit on why you chose to do this course. So, some people are in the language department. Some people were interested in podcasting. Some people already have recorded and published and released music. Some people just kind of dabble on their own. So we have a lot of different variety for a small group of people, which is amazing. Now, what we want you to do is give us a little bit of a story about your experience and your background in relation to your interests. So I give you a few prompts here that could give you ideas of what you could do. So one is, how long have you been studying your language? What brought you to do so? How do you think this course can help you? What's your experience with audio recording and the language? Is there any at all? Do you think it's important? Do you not think it's important? Very open-ended, right? I've given you 2+ pages of space to write. Doesn't mean you have to write 2 full pages. Just try to give as much information as you can that will help John and I. Another example is, how long have you been writing or performing music? If you're someone who's a musician, tell us about a concert or a performance you had, or tell us about an experience you've had recording in the past. And was it good? Was it bad? Why or why not? Was it intimidating? Was it scary? Was it fun, exhilarating? How do you hope that this course might enhance some of your skills in that area? And then one more here is, what role do podcasts or music play in your everyday life? So for me, my whole life, there's music everywhere. We have smart speakers at all different points in life. There's one in both of my kids' rooms. There's 2 downstairs. We have guitars hanging on the wall. We have a computer with a MIDI keyboard. We've got a drum kit in my son's room. So my world is surrounded by music. So for me, music is a huge part of my life. My mom, was quite a good pianist and guitar player. My brother is a musician. He's recorded music. So it's a big part of my life. And I would kind of lean into that and explain, how it's touched my life, or how it's a part of my life. And what do I hope to learn in this course that might, change that or enhance that part of my life. This is super open-ended. I know that's kind of scary sometimes for people. It's like, I just want to know what to write. Just keep in mind, this isn't for grades. This isn't about doing something right or wrong. This is about you sharing a bit about who you are. Try to include details, paint us a picture, not just of your interests, but what role they play in your life. So, get as creative as you want here. If you don't feel like writing a standard narrative style, one line after another, do it in point form, right? Present the information in the way that you think best represents your interests and your hopes for this course.